Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another edition of the show. Inside the cover day once again. Halloween time. My co-host extraordinaire over here.
Hello again, comic book fans, and hello, Sea of Tranquility drifters.
Sea of Tranquility drifters. I like that. Yeah,
that's what they are.
Yeah.
Yes, inside the cover. My turn. I'm going to do Frankenstein. First issue, Monster of Frankenstein.
Got to.
This is kind of weird. It's two stories in one. It's kind of like a present situation of Victor Frankenstein's great-grandson. So it supposedly takes place in the early 1890s. And the other part is a flashback, which I'll get to. So this starts off with the great-grandson of Dr. Frankenstein taking a crew to go back to the Arctic to look for the monster which got lost the last time his great-grandfather was out there. So he's looking for the monster's body, and he knows it was frozen in ice in the Arctic. So he's got this crew going with him, and at some point, it gets to the point where they're taking, like, you know, when they're sleeping, this guy's on watch at night, this dude, and the ice breaks and falls, and when it collapses, it wipes out half the crew.
Oops.
So the other half of the crew is like freaked out, you know. Ice break, run for your lives. That's when he gives out the warning. He fires a couple shots. But what happens is it causes a little bit of a mutiny. So the guys that are scared of the monster, you know, here's the monster breaking off on the brick of the ice.
Meanwhile, the Antarctic is a pretty big place, right? But of course, they found exactly where he was.
Yes. It took a couple days. So there's this one guy that swings, you know, tries to knock out the main guide. He's like the most loyal to the captain. And then the captain shoots the guy and says, anyone else mess with him, you're going to get shot. Anyone else? So he shoots this mutiny dude who just tried to kill this guy. And this is the one that gave the warning about the ice break. So then they find the block of ice that has the monster, and they bring it back to the ship. So now they're going to bring it home. So then...
Mike Plug artwork, by the way.
Yes. Well, Mike Plug. And who was the writer? I think it was Doug Friedrich.
Gary Friedrich, yep.
Yes, Gary. I got Doug from him. Advertisement. Stand a soapbox up here. Now the story flips to a flashback of Dr. Frankenstein in the early 1800s. Actually, Frankenstein was written in 1816. Which means there's a quite possibility that maybe John Adams and Thomas Jefferson read this book because they both passed away in 1825 or 1826.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
Within 3 years after Mary Shelley wrote this book, within 3 to 5 years, this became a major play. Because they didn't have movies back then. This story was adapted and twisted many times, and it went into performance almost right away. It's very quick for a novel to turn into a play back in those days. It's a very successful book, Frankenstein. So now we get the background information on Dr. Frankenstein and his life and him.
Interesting, right, how they started off this series with issue number 1 this way without just automatically having the first issue, the whole origin story.
Yes, right? They're kind of doing 2 stories in one.
Yeah.
A present and a flashback, even though the 1890s is the present. So we get Dr. Frankenstein's story about going to med school and him being obsessed with, you know, life. So he winds up dropping out of school and pursuing his experiment. And, of course, when he tries to bring life to the monster, he's disgusted with failure. But then the monster moves, and he realizes it's alive. It's alive.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
So when the monster immediately, like, wants to kill him. But he's like, I'm your creator. Stay away from me. Stay back.
Father.
So the monster follows him, you know, and he even shows up in his bedroom, the monster. This guy just is freaking out. So then, Terrific Teen, Saturday? I don't remember this.
I don't remember either.
So the monster is having at it with him. And it gets to the point where he shoots the monster. He tries to set him on fire. So now we go back. So he's in chaos here, fighting with the monster. Then we go back, another flashback story of when he was running from the monster, and he falls down out in the woods and like collapses from stress and exhaustion. And his friend Clerval finds him, who was also in the first panel when I showed the flashback scene. So Clerval finds his friend Victor Frankenstein out in the woods, total mess, and like Frankenstein doesn't recognize him. Like, who are you? He's like, it's me, it's your friend Clerval. Man, we gotta get you inside. So he's a babbling mess. He's trying to tell the story, and they just can't believe him. And now he reunites with Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth. So they're all concerned for Dr. Frankenstein's welfare, obviously. And then, what I didn't say, a little tidbit. You know Marvel Comics used to do the little written ads on the bottom of the pages?
Yeah.
Well, they did one for the cat. And I thought it was in here. Anyway, I was looking. Is that it?
A memo to Luke Cage. No, that's the Luke Cage one.
Anyway. Nice full splash page of the second issue of the cat.
With the owl. Nice.
And I thought they plugged it on the bottom here. I thought that was clever. Maybe it was a different book I saw that.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh well. So, now, we go back to the great-grandson. Searching. Oh, this is Victor Frankenstein going to the Arctic to get away from the monster. The monster follows him. And then they fight. And the monster he tries to burn him. Right here. He's like, right here, he tries to burn the monster.
And we know the Frankenstein monster does not like fire, right?
Yep.
Animals fear fire, and so should you.
Yep. And then he starts to set him on fire, and then the monster says, "You shot me. You've tried to burn me. You know, what else will you do to me?" I mean, what does that say?
By all that is holy, Frankenstein, is there no end to your cruelty? Wow, good Lord, the bullet barely phased him. Yeah, so basically the monster's like, God, you know, I'm your creation, and here you are trying to kill me. It's like,
but he was trying to kill him too.
Yeah.
You know? So he gets a hold of him, Dr. Frankenstein, and he wants his revenge. And then we find out it's a flashback story on the last page. But when the monster was on the ship, there's a storm on the ship, and there's still a frozen block of ice. And what happens is, as stuff gets, the ship actually capsizes and then right-sides itself up again. And meanwhile, there's this, they called it a stove. There was some heat going on in this room that the block of ice is on. And here it is, right up in here. I'm trying to do this upside down. There's this stove that's generating heat, and the monster's block of ice slides up next to it, and he begins to thaw. And then we see his hands break free from the ice, and they talk about how his hands are moving. And that's how they leave it, as a cliffhanger, because the monster's going to come back for his revenge. And they call it The Bride. Next issue?
The Bride of the Monster.
Yep.
Stay tuned for issue number 2.
Which is an awesome cover.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Plugart.
Yeah.
So basically, this is Frankenstein the Monster with a little bit of a twist. Kind of a present and a flashback.
Yeah, they basically give you the origin story, but very condensed, and they introduce you to the way it's going to go going forward with the series.
So they got a twist of bringing it into the
more modern
era. Yeah, or you should say the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
But if you're a Frankenstein fan, definitely worth it. Here's the back ad. Definitely a good book. I got this at a con about 4 or 5 years ago. I've been looking because I only had issue 7 in my collection. Now I have the whole run. But
it's a great series, especially the first 10 issues.
Yeah, and then it gets weaker when we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Something else for you kids. Bonus. It's Comic Book Geezers issue 27. It's the UFO edition. UFOs, do they really exist? Yeah, you take a look at that for a second.
All right, so issue number
27. We're still 2 cents.
We still got the disapproval code. What? That's an insect, right?
Yeah, it's a fly.
It's a fly.
Here's the UFO.
There's the UFO.
There's the alien.
He just came out. Wow, he's freaky looking. Wow, I like that. Little face and all.
I just threw the flying. I didn't want to paint too many seagulls, but I had to do one.
Yeah, I like
Painting too many seagulls means you overdo it on your art. You over embellish. It's called don't paint too many seagulls. Like if you did an ocean scene, a beach scene, you don't need that many. But I threw the fly in just for the hell of it. I was thinking about maybe having his tongue come out and catch it, but
oh, that would have been freaky.
Yeah, I kind of stopped.
So this is your first UFO edition.
Yes,
pretty good.
UFO edition.
First, like space characters, right?
Yeah, first out. Yeah, I just called it the UFO edition. So originally it was just this character sketched, and then I, kept working on it, and this is what I came up with. So hope you guys like it. Number 27.
I dig it.
So that's it for this episode of Comic Book Geezers. I am Wild Bill, your host, saying thanks for being here as always. Please click the like button and the notification bell. And if you really want to help us, share this video with your friends that like comic books. We're still growing. It's a slow process, but we need your help, and we thank you for your help. As always, we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time for another Inside the Cover with more horror comics as we celebrate Halloween for the month of October 2021.
That's right. And also, don't forget, another way you can support the channel here is go down to the link below and get yourself one of these. We got it in all different sizes, and we have it on a mug as well.
If you're a
coffee or tea drinker, there you go. So
yes, or a water drinker. Yeah. You can have the mug. Don't drop it. Just kidding. I can do stunts.
There you go. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Stay tuned for another episode of Inside the Cover. Remember, we're doing this all throughout the month of October, celebrating Halloween. We're digging into our collections for all the coolest stuff.
And for those of you who are new, if this is new to you, we do have a horror comic book section in our playlist. Check that out if you like horror comics. All right,
we have done a lot of episodes on horror and monster comics, so so go check out the playlist and check out some of the back episodes. But these we're going to be looking at in depth, so that's kind of what we're doing this whole.
So stay tuned, gang. We'll see you soon. I'm Wild Bill saying peace,
and I'm Pete saying peace. Later. Bye bye.